Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Be More Successful Show. I'm your host, Leslie Hassler. I own Your Biz Rules, business coaching, and the Small Business Collaborative. What I do the best is working with service-based businesses to get their businesses growing and scaling in a way that actually produces profits and cash so that you can future fund your next level growth while you take care of your team yourself. Reward yourself, have an impact in the community, create a financial legacy, all the really good, juicy bits of owning business, owning your own small business that you deserve to have. So today we're talking about a topic, and it's really interesting because what I have to share with you today has been brewing in the back of my mind for a little bit of time, and I hadn't been able to put words to it. So I haven't been able to really truly define it. So I feel like I've gotten a lot more crystal on this kind of back of the neck feeling that I have had in business. And so it really comes down to, how do we embrace achieving more with the resources that we have? So there's a point it's really kind of in between growth and scaling, where you're kind of maxed, you're kind of tapped. Chances are, if you've been there for a while, you may see your bank account declining a bit. It's not like you're destitute, not by any means. It's just that you have enough, but not a whole lot left over. And so you don't feel comfortable taking big investment risks because you have a team to support, you have a business to run, you just can't see how to make it happen. And I honestly love coming in that space because there's so much possibility of what we can do together. But one of the things that we want to capitalize on in this area is really about capacity, the capacity to do more. And there is a phrase, right? We've all heard this phrase that makes good sense. I think it's one of those kind of business myths we like to throw around, but it doesn't do what it is that we think it's going to do. So we're going to talk about today, give you 3 things to be able to do to really tighten up and be able to achieve more with the resources that you have. So I will start off by saying, if you enjoyed today's little informational moment for your small business, please share this with your community. That's how we get it out to the right people. Without your share, it's just you and me. And this really is great information that a lot of business owners can take and run with. So please do that. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you would like to receive live notifications of our next upcoming live, there's a link in the post that you can do that, and we'll get those out to you as well. So that phrase that I alluded to a minute ago is the phrase of doing more with less. And it makes good sense because, like I said, we're at this point in time to where, in order to bust through the plateau that you're on, you've got to seemingly do more because it's taken the doing part to get where you are. Makes good sense. What I find, though, is that phrase really has a habit of putting people on the edge. So it's counterintuitive, if you will. If you walked in and told your team that you need to do more with less, they probably would want to walk out and cry because they're likely doing as much as they feel like they can do. And to do more with less does not sound like a fun day. Doesn't sound like a picnic you want to go on, does it? So if we can get past this phrase, and I really want to talk about what it is that you should be looking at in your business to be more successful. Because if you lock into the doing more with less, you're going to be in a catch-22, a chicken and the egg, rock in a hard spot type of position. I don't want you to be there at all. And here's really the value, so the payoff for you, if you will, is so I had done a business audit for a company a couple years ago, and they were in the low 3s, mid 3s, 300,000 as far as revenue. really looking to grow. Like they have been inspired to grow. They wanted that $1 million business. They just didn't know how to get there. And so one of the first things we do when we're working with a one-to-one client is really dig a little deep, because today is just a snapshot, right? It's not a complete picture. And if we're going to help you strategically and proactively proceed down the journey of growing and scaling, we've got to have a really good idea of where you are and where you've been. So we were taking a look at that situation, like where they are, where they've been. And suddenly this opportunity, and it's an opportunity I see a lot for businesses, all right, of opportunity of capacity. So really what that meant for this business is they actually had about $700,000 to $800,000 worth of revenue, bandwidth of capacity. We just had to show them how to actually implement that in their business so that they could reap the awards. And when you reach that scalable moment, and here's a difference between growth and scalability. Growth tends to be a 1-for-1. Like for every growth increase in revenue, you typically have an investment, right? And it just does this, and it gives you a nice straight line, and it's pretty over time, right? Scalability is much more like a rocket, to where you've got this steep curve and you just go shroom. This is a scalable moment in the business, not a growth moment, because she already had the infrastructure. A lot of the infrastructure is already there. We just needed to capitalize on it, right? And really get her up to running capacity. Now, what is capacity? So capacity is what your bandwidth is, if you think about that. Now, what impacts capacity is a lot of different things, a lot of which is mindset. Mindset is a huge influencer on capacity. The other things, your systems, your process, your expectations, and some of the things we'll go over in just a second, like some of the pieces you need to clear out in order to actually be able to take advantage of this scalable moment in your business. So I have found for most businesses, they're operating truly at a 60% of their potential capacity. Now, they may be busy. I'm not saying these people feel like they're busy. They feel like they're moving, right? But what they're doing isn't necessarily producing results. It's called busyness, right? We got to be wary of busyness. Busyness in corporate is how you keep your job. It's how you show that you're always doing something. Busyness in small business is not a good business at all. So busyness is almost the kiss of death. You don't have the capability to run that fat and happy, if you will, to allow for that kind of slack in the business. Now, we'll talk a little more about busyness maybe in another episode. But really, when it gets down to this, we want to look at capacity. So most businesses start out about 60% capacity. And you would think, oh, I want to get to 100% capacity. Well, no, not every 100% capacity isn't an achievable, sustainable type of model either. So if you were 100% capacity, you would never have a sick day, never have a vacation day, never have any admin to take care of, none of that stuff. So we're not going to be that far down the pendulum. But really where I think the sweet spot is in this 75 to maybe 85% capacity. So this business that we looked at was really at the maybe even 50% capacity, 55% capacity. And that jump, that gap, the capacity gap from 60% to 85% represented a tremendous amount of potential revenue for the business. And so really just on focusing, how do we make that easier? That's what we were able to attain. So in year one, right, we had 52% growth, which is pretty phenomenal. Year two, being this year, we're looking for flat to slightly above. And then really we'll be able to kick back off again next year. But I want to adjust the understanding with that comment. Just because we're looking at, let's just maintain this year because of everything that has happened in the economy, does not mean we are in a wait and see moment either. We're not resting on laurels. We are putting in some really key foundational pieces and diversification in the business that help us protect the revenue, if you will, and actually open us up for greater growth in just ways we hadn't planned on doing right away. We were going to do it maybe in a year from now. So even though that top line number, if it's a flat number, it kind of belies the activity that you can be doing in the back end of your business to get ready for the next level of scalability and growth. So here are our 3 things that I want you to think about when you think about capacity. Number 1 is, you've heard of Pareto's law, the 80-20 rule, right? Where 80% of your income is probably being generated by 20% of your actions, your activity. The key here is that other 80% that's only making up 20%, it really needs a hard study. Really needs a hard study, because that's 80% of your resources, 80% of your potential capacity that is off doing things that don't get you anywhere. So we really want to get the 80-20 rule to get really tightened up in the business and use that as a way to clear through the clutter. Okay, because that brings us right into number 2, which is reduce the hurdles to getting work done. I tell you, if a small business owner goes through an experience that is painful, you can guarantee 10 hurdles are going to get put up in the process in the attempt to protect against another painful experience. It actually has an adverse impact into the business. One of the things I come through is I look at hurdles and I'm like, and that one's gone, and that one's gone, and there's a better way to fix this, and that one's gone, right? And we get the hurdles out of the way. Because if your team is spinning their wheels, either reinventing the wheel because somebody somewhere along the way doesn't think that you can create a system or a process, which you can. I've done it in the most creative of industries, so I know that it can be done. You're wasting time. It's money that you're spending, okay, you're investing that isn't giving you a return on investment. So back to that 80-20, right? What are the 20% of the activities that we really and truly need to get to an 80% good enough type of mentality for this business and for the work that we do? So focus on your 80-20. Bring that into how the work gets done and really look at how you can simplify, how you can reduce hurdles so that your team is able to get more done in a day because they're not spinning their wheels. No good doing that. The third part is probably, I would say, whereas the first 2 are a little more scientific, like they're really easy to find, super easy to find. Excuse me, super easy for me to find. This next one's a bit more art. So the art of this concept of being able to boost your capacity is about building in positive tension. And I love the story. I believe it was from E-Myth. So a lot of people have read E-Myth. This is probably the story I walk away with from E-Myth. But it's the story of the fresh seafood company who spent $1 million on a plane to fly seafood from one coast to the other. And on the very first flight, everyone's so excited. This is going to be so great. We're going to be able to expand our sales into new market. The plane goes up. The plane flies across the country. The plane comes down. And all the fish are dead. And they're like, what? What the, you know what they said, right? And so they couldn't figure out why the fish were dying. So they hired a consultant who came in, went up, went down, with another load of fish. Same thing happened. And he said, it's simple. You need to put a shark in the tank. And they were like, but a shark's going to eat the fish. No. You put a shark in the tank. The fish doesn't know that this shark, which is actually a baby shark, can't eat it. The fish are bigger than the shark, but they know that it's a shark. And that shark creates enough tension in the tank to keep everybody swimming, everybody going, everybody on their toes, right? And adding this shark to the fish tank was all that was needed for success. That's an example of positive tension. You do it yourself. If you have an egg timer on your desk and you set 5 minutes to do a task and you've got that tick, 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 that's a positive tension. Now, I don't believe in micromanaging. I don't want you to be a micromanager because then you don't have a successful, profitable commercial enterprise that can work without you if you're the one being the taskmaster. That's not what I'm saying. But there are lots of ways to introduce positive tension. This is a little, psychographic isn't the right word, psychology based, if you will, sociology based, understanding what motivates people and just the little things that you can do that add a really good tension. Now, I will give you hands down, one of the easiest ways to do that is to set a metric, a KPI for a department or for a certain product line and have it publicly displayed. And especially if you've got more than one team that can do this, that little bit of competition that goes back and forth, that's an exact great example of a positive tension that you can build into your business. So those are the 3 things. We talked about focusing on 80-20. We talked about reducing hurdles to getting the work done, and then providing positive tension to be able to keep people just keep swimming. I just have Dory in my brain when I think about this. So this really, if you're in this scalable moment in your business, know that taking advantage of capacity, your capacity gap, is the way that you can immediately boost profits. You can boost your cash flow so that you can invest back into your business and your next level of growth, pay your staff, maybe hire that next rock star person that you need in order to continue to grow and scale, reward yourself, and do great work. So if you enjoyed today's, please like this video and share it. As always, feel free to get on our live notifications for the next time that we go live, which will be Thursday morning at 10 a.m. We'll have another episode of the Be More Successful Show. So that's it for today, guys. I'm Leslie Hassler, again with your Biz Rules Business Coaching. May your week be profitable.